subscribe, like, comment, and subscribe, and check us out. See, you thought it was going there, niggas. No. I give props to Justin Bieber. He finally grabbed his sack and then, you know, duck and tuck it. That mother said all they wanted goddamn like TNT and all the paparazzi motherfuckers. See, whenever they approach me, I just say, and they can't play that on the head, so they ain't got nothing to play. See, he talked too much. He gave too many sentences, but they are some money grab motherfuckers, and they don't give a fuck about, you know, they here to record the downfall. They here to record ghosts. They here to record everything that goes wrong. They ain't capturing nothing good in your life. They just film it when it's done. And that's what it is. Team from MC. Be right back. Go ahead, Justin. Goddamn. Ridiculous. And also, props to Terrence Howard, because he wasn't having it with the motherfucker talking about he's charged up for going to the Diddy party. Hadn't quoted the motherfucker and statute the law and said, you can do take it like the old school, like the man grab your sworn pistol, you meet him at the Wild Wild West at the Sloan, throw down, toss hands. So props to Terrence Howard. Goddamn right. Keep you in the front. All these motherfucking bend over bandits. Oh, but this would be good for a video game. Make a shot, and you throw that bomb, and the audience blows up. I'm telling you, he's on fire, and the audience blew the fuck up. Add it to the game. He ain't playing a video game, add it to the game. LeBron James got a brand new doll, y'all. So, this is how this all go out. Letterman jacket, some too short britches. What the f is this? This is y'all go. It's got a little ass grassy mother. That is, you got a little ass dog. And they gonna lock that dog up in jail. Trust me. That dog been to a Diddy party or two. But he got stuffed up somebody's ass. Welcome back to NLA. Next week's Dummy of the Week. Something's wrong in America. London, wherever this is, something's wrong with the world. How about that? They got a tranny dog. A tranny dog. Check it out. Son. Both of them, this is somebody's son. And I'm quite sure that they have been disowned and disqualified from the Sundom Kingdom. If taking it in your hands make you act like a dog, don't do it. Welcome back to NNN. In the news, Brother Neo has 4 girlfriends. And, he's got some women's feathers shook up because, he's got 4.
Dinner for 5 is more expensive than
Dinner for 5 can be expensive depending on where you go.
And everywhere, like, if you do vacations with just one, you gotta go all 5 of you on the...
No.
All 5.
Again, everybody gets their individual.
Oh, everybody gets...
So when it's your moment, whatever you want to do in your moment, we do.
What happens if one is on your nerves?
Then that one is on my nerves.
What happens if one is not working for you anymore?
Then that one might have to go.
Somewhere in the Middle East, they're like, Poor Nero, he only has 4 wives. We've got 27. Here in the Middle East, we have many, many more. This has been NNN. Checking out.
Hey, put this in your ear. I know how you hate going to my parents' house because they're always speaking Spanish. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was scrolling through Reddit, and I saw a couple of leaks that just blew my mind. And honestly, I think you guys are going to be absolutely just insanely happy when you guys hear what I have to share with you all today. This DamMan information is going to be covering some huge topics that the community has been kind of concerned about. Things like cosmetics and how they'll be handled, and also destructible events and how these are going to be handled in the brand new Battlefield game. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, before we go and dive deep, if you guys are interested in more content just like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post daily here at 8 Eastern Time. And of course, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, I'll link that channel down in the description of this video. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, both these posts come from the same user, Corlick99, over on Reddit. I'm going to begin with the destruction, and then we'll end off the video when it comes to the cosmetics. But as you can see right here, Battlefield 6 key events on map / cinematic destruction. Some reminds me of Levolution in a Battlefield 4, and I just want to remind you guys, I'm probably not going to showcase any of the actual, stuff here, although they are just Discord posts about, what's going on behind the scenes. But again, I don't want to test my luck with EA whatsoever, but I will leave the links to both of these posts down in the description of this video. But it begins by saying, Extraction Example 3 for the updated EBX format in Battlefield 2025. Key events on maps. Some maps feature a gameplay layer called key events. Battery, multiplayer _battery / layers _ gameplay. Key events, artillery strike, temp. And the next one is capstone. Multiplayer capstone, / layers, gameplay, key events, all that good stuff. This one says landslide _ start, landslide _ temp, and landslide _ end. And the next one here says Aftermath, multiplayer _ Aftermath, layers, gameplay, you guys get all this stuff. But this one says Central Building Collapse East, or Central Building Collapse West. And then the last one, Facet, I believe is how you pronounce it. And this one is empty, apparently, just for the time being. After this it says, currently everything is set to 0, unfinished / not beneficial for an early playtest / reserved for marketing / so I'm assuming that some of these aren't being showcased or even are, in whatever is being played right now because they are trying to save for, obviously, advertisements later on down the road. But that's just a guess from the data miners. Continuing on here, key events without map links. Maps not available in the playtest / can also include campaign levels. The first one is Pipeline. Second one, Shockwave Small. The other one just straight up Shockwave. After that, Tunnel Blood Low. And it's also a Tunnel Blood High. So I'm assuming that, depending on what you guys want to actually do or how much destruction is being put out during a match is going to depend on, the level, I guess, of destructibility for events that are going to take place. After that, it's Tower 1, then Power Fail, and also a Power Fail Temp. After that, it's R&D Hazard, which is for BR, Arena Blood, which is also for BR, Tech EXPL, which is for BR, Storage Fire BR, and Shrink Ring BR. Then finally, for the last two, these are both for single player, SP and BASP. After this it says, events are triggered by an activation mechanic by player seems to require one or more specific locations / trigger points, or by chance, frequency probably adjustable via server-side values, like the Tornado in 2042. can have up to 3 states or variations, unclear without example data. Guys, this just sounds absolutely outstanding, and it sounds like it's going to be a little bit of a mix of, you know, the kind of set up events like they are in Battlefield 4, and also controllable events when it comes to just the player going ahead and putting forth the damage onto the map. Regardless, this sounds absolutely outstanding, and I personally, I don't know about you guys, but I personally believe that stuff like this is kind of needed when it comes to a Battlefield experience. Having the maps kind of form and shift during a battle is very fun, and it also adds more replayability. And seeing that all of these events, like for example, the landslide, having different versions of the landslide, or different versions of, you know, the tunnel of blood, so on and so forth, kind of showcases that, you know, any match that you play back on these maps is going to be partially different, whether it's the weather changing around, the type of events that actually take place, how hard the players in the current lobby are going with these events, if they actually want these events to happen, or if they prefer them not to happen. You know, there's so many variables that can happen here, but at the end of the day, this is crucial, and I hope when they go ahead and start advertising all this stuff, it's actually worth the wait when it comes to, you know, destruction, because Battlefield 2042 was such a letdown. And honestly, even Battlefield 5 didn't have any crazy, you know, things that really went on, if I'm going to be honest. The destruction was fine, it was good. But I think that this is going to be nice, you know, having returned to that classic BF4, where, you know, maps could seriously shift, but, you know, maybe plus some, because obviously we're in the year of 2025 now, technology has improved since Battlefield 4, so hopefully we can really see some cool destruction and some awesome events in the multiplayer experience. But ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, let's move over to the actual cosmetics here. Again, I can't confirm if EA is going to, obviously, you know, add in a bunch of crazy nonsense into the store, because, you know, clearly we have no clue how that's going to be handled, although the community did fight back pretty nicely with Battlefield 1.2 when we kind of got to a good middle ground for this game. But still, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that you guys are as well, when it comes to, hopefully, you know, EA not crossing that line when it comes to the Battlefield franchise. But let's go ahead and discuss some of these cosmetics. As you can see right here, Battlefield 6 Soldier customization will be an upgraded version of the one in Battlefield 5, including gloves, patches, rank, and more. Now, once again, like I said, I'll leave the link to the actual post down in the description of this video. I'm not going to showcase it on screen, but I'll still obviously be covering it. To begin, Extraction Example 2, the updated EVX format in Battlefield 2025. Right, customization slots: head, torso, legs, hands. Secondary customization, additional menu: patch 1 torso, patch 2 torso, rank torso, and a camo modifier for head, torso, or legs. But all available camos are placeholders or from Battlefield 2042. Then afterwards it says 12 characters, aces, 8 male, and 4 female. But the number is not final, as there are a few more placeholders. Afterwards, boots are always part of the late cosmetics and can be modified independently. Patch 1 default is your class, and patch 2 default is empty. Rank is optional. Fixed texture unlock for every mix ranks. Actual design and position are unclear, and it says sets with fixed parts, no mix and match, similar to legendaries in 2042, are back or just a leftover of 2042. All items have a rarity value: 0, 1, 2, 3. No models, textures, or even item names. Only placeholders, for example, like hands 001 or hands 002. So it's unlock criteria. A few examples listed to you all: mastery, quest, which is challenges, rank, player, score, BP01, BP02, BF Pro 01, and BF Pro 02. Now, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is something that I'm actually very excited about because I love this style of customization. For example, I'm going to flash up Battlefield 5 on your screen for you guys so you can see exactly what this is like. Basically, for each and every faction, you can go across with you want to pick the assault class, medic, and your support, so on and so forth. Everybody's different. Pick the character, and you can go ahead and customize them from head to toe. Now, again, there are certain skins in the characters that are going to be, quote-unquote, I guess, legendary or whatever you want to call them, just like they said in the leaked DamMan information here, where there's going to be certain skins that you can't customize. Same thing about Battlefield 5. But if you don't use those legendary skins, you can end up using your own base, skin, your base character. You can lock, very good items for that character, and then you can deck your character out from head to toe. But in the new Battlefield game, the things are going to take it a step further. Again, with hands, having patches, being able to show off your rank, and also picking the camo that you want to go ahead and rock on your overall character, which is actually really badass in my personal opinion. Again, I'm hoping EA doesn't take this too. We don't want anything overly flashy when it comes to camos. It's as simple as that. Just like as you can see with Battlefield 5, everything looks phenomenal. You could be flashy without having to be over the top. And as long as they stick to this style, this format, I think that they'll be successful. Again, Battlefield 5 proved that you can have legendary skins that are just one set pieces, that are flashy enough that people want to purchase, while at the same time, if people don't want to do that, they just want to deck out their own personal character, they're allowed to do so as well. But I think the community is going to be happy about this one. Because again, I think the Battlefield community wants one of two things. They either want to be able to build their own unique character and have that type of vibe, or they want to be a specific soldier, a no-name soldier, you know, in a battle amongst hundreds. You know, just a no-identity type of guy. As long as it's one of the two, and it's not the Battlefield 2042 specialists, where we're all playing as the same character, and you see 50 factions, you know what I'm saying? As long as it's not that, I think the community will be happy here. That, plus no crazy skins, I think that we're going to have a nice winner when it comes to cosmetics. But overall, these tough elites, in my opinion, are just getting better and better and better. Yes, there have been a few oddball leaks that kind of concern me, but man, oh man, it seems like they are not playing this game, and they really are trying to live up to the words where they said they're trying to, you know, tap into every single Battlefield game and find the good and the bad. Take the good, push away the bad, and just, you know, formulate it all into one game. Again, I'm way ahead of myself here because I haven't even played the game for myself. But, you know, I gotta be honest, at least compared to 2042, this game definitely looks like it has a much more solid foundation than 2042. And that's already pushing us in the correct direction. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like if you hate it, dislike it. You can subscribe to that bell because daily here at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, if you guys are interested in the live streams, I stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting between 12 and 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, I'll link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you all next one. Peace out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got an update today. The El Salvadorian president, Bukele, was visiting Trump, and a question came up. Of course, it was the whole I gotcha on the Trump and the administration because of a deported person that the Trump administration thought was a gang member. In 2019, there were people that thought the individual might have been related to a gang, and they said that it was an administrative error, but it's up to El Salvador now, and this was ruled by the Supreme Court. A bunch of liberals think, oh, they own Trump because the Supreme Court came out and unanimously said that, well, the individual must be brought back to the United States that was deported. Trump said it's an administrative error. It happens. I mean, there's 20 million illegals in the country because of liberalism. What do you want us to do? But this is a thing to where it comes down to Bukele. He has to, I mean, this is an individual, the person that got deported, the immigrant, he is a citizen of El Salvador, and so it's up to Bukele. If the Supreme Court ruled we have to facilitate, if El Salvador and their government wants him deported, we will facilitate it. And Trump's not fighting that. But El Salvador and Bukele said, it cannot happen. We cannot allow this individual to be free at this point. And so it's up to El Salvador, and they're trying to do this whole gotcha on Trump like it's his fault. And when it comes to deporting these people, like Trump at this point is behind in the deportation numbers. We know how hard it is to deport these people. We know the cost. We don't know the exact number of self-deportations because it's reported there's been hundreds and thousands of self-deportations because of the initial deportations that we saw under Trump. It scared a lot of illegals, and they self-deported early on in the administration, like late January, early February. I don't know how the numbers are on that, but there are a lot of self-deportations. We know the deportation numbers are low. They have to build out the infrastructure to deport these people. And, you know, this is an individual that just got returned to sender, basically. And listen, the Supreme Court ruled, well, we have to facilitate his return. But that's if El Salvador wants to cooperate. And so Bukele says, well, no, this is like been an individual that's been ruled to be a terrorist. How can I snuggle a terrorist into the United States? That's what he says. So, you know, this is just a situation to where it's like, we're dealing with like 40 or 50 million illegals thanks to liberalism. This is what it is. It's modern day liberalism. It's the acceleration of immigration, and it destroys cultures, and it's already destroying Europe at an accelerated pace. when it comes to the United States, we're trying to push back against it at least a little bit, but we can't even do that. Now, whether you want to call this an administrative error by Trump or whatever, look, the point of it is this was someone that was deported, and the Supreme Court ruled that we had to facilitate their return. If El Salvador cooperates and wants their own citizen to be returned to the United States, which obviously they don't, because their leader was saying we're not going to allow it. So that's basically it. But you've got Caitlin Collins, and this is a 55-second clip, and then I'm also going to play this 5-minute clip, because this is a good little spat here in the Oval Office with a lot of people involved: Pam Bondi, Stephen Miller, Rubio, and so we'll go ahead and play these different clips.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I guess most of them suggested that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right?
It's only seen that
Oh, yeah, to the United States. Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or whether it's worse, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
inside the tunnel.
Yeah, but not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world to the safest country in the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the murder releasing criminals so we can go back to being the...
Right, and what he's saying is so key here. He's talking about I mean, this is why we deport criminals and gang members to El Salvador. They significantly built up under Bukele their prison infrastructure to where it's an entire industry now. They have made their country extremely safe. Liberalism would have never allowed that. Their country would be, just look at, like, you look at some of these cities in the United States, like Oakland and LA County, and just how liberal they are, and it's very obvious they need to do a hardline stance, like El Salvador did back in 2019-2020 when he entered in. No, we're done with it. We don't care if we seem like bad guys. We have to eliminate this corruption to allow for our citizens to flourish. Yes, there's going to be... That's why the liberals came and they criticized him. They said there's mistakes. There's some people that shouldn't be in jail because he imprisoned a bunch of people that were connected to gangs because you have to almost go overbearing and overboard to try and save the vast majority of the citizens. And that's what he's saying. He's saying, we did all this, we helped it. And look, when it comes to this individual being a terrorist or not, it was reported in 2019, there were some gang ties. But the point of it is this was someone that got deported to El Salvador. The Supreme Court ruled we had to take them back if El Salvador cooperated with us, and we don't have jurisdiction to forcibly bring the individual back. This is an El Salvadorian citizen.
W-2 and file your taxes 100% free. Plus, get your biggest refund. Process paid now. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. Click for eligibility.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal,
No, and that's absolutely right. And then liberals are like, oh, that's just Trump being mean to the media. No, they want the crime to be higher. Look at all the liberal cities. And then they just keep electing these liberals who are soft on crime. You have to go hard against the crime, especially if you have a crime issue within your city. The answer cannot be softness. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. Like a snowball, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Just like the homelessness problem in California. They let it get big enough, it's too big, they can't fix it.
It's just a investigation of it. Yeah.
And then here's the bigger picture. This was right after Caitlin Collins asked the question, talking about the alleged MS-13 member deported to El Salvador. And this was the member, this is what I was talking about, the member that, he's alleged. The Supreme Court said you got to bring him back. This is if El Salvador cooperates. Pam Bondi, Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio.
Turn the man who your administration has been mistakenly the man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you ask to answer that question?
And foremost, he was illegally in our country. He has been illegally in our country. In 2019, an immigration court, even an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork that needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, as El Salvador wants to return him. This is international matter, foreign affairs. If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a flight.
You are doing a great job.
Thank you.
There's no response to that question because, I was asked by CNN and they always ask it with a slant because they're totally slanting because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also?
Yes, so, as Pam mentioned, is a legal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for me to suggest that we can tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As the immigration course found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under the law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. And a district court judge completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and his main components reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither the Secretary of State or the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan to ask for any help to get him back? Is that
what's going to be the Supreme Court? Was it 9-0?
Yeah, it was a 9-0.
In our favor.
In our favor, against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion, was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time. No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
What do you think? President Kemp, weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
No, I can't.
Do you plan to return him?
Well, I can't. Also suggested that it's smuggled.
Right, and then so I just showed that. So that was compelling. On what Stephen Miller was saying there. Now, I do think it is disputed whether this is someone that actually is an MS-13 gang member. Obviously, it's very cut and dry. I think this is an issue that liberals, or who knows, maybe they would, but that they would really bring up if this was like a confirmed gang member. Because how are you going to win a public argument about Trump deporting a MS-13 gang member? It's just ridiculous. So I think it's disputed, and there were people within ICE in 2019 that ruled he was looking for protection. That's why he came to the United States. But Trump did rule that even MS-13 was a gang-affiliated terrorist group, and so that then allowed the deportation of people connected to the group. And I think the real big question is this actually an MS-13 gang member? Can they legally be in the United States right now? Trump saying, based on his recent ruling, no. And so he got deported, and Stephen Miller said that the Supreme Court ruled that, at least when it comes to the just district judges, they cannot unilaterally say that Trump must immediately go and get, and then they say it is kidnapping, make it sound like it's bring the El Salvador citizen, because that's what he is. He came to the United States for, I guess, protection. bring him back to the U.S. after we deported him for his gang affiliation because Trump changed the designation and made it possible to deport people that had gang affiliations with MS-13. And there's also Rubio here that comes in. Yeah, Rubio comes in right here. Look at this.
He was illegally in the United States and was returned to this country. That's what you deport people. That's the country of origin. Except for Venezuela, that was refusing to take people back.
I think the argument is liberals are saying he was not illegally in the country. But I mean, yeah, obviously if he's illegally in the country, there's nothing wrong. But even in general, like this, the Trump administration did come out and say it was an administrative error. But if he's illegally in the country, there's no error. You're just deporting him because he's illegally here. But then this whole thing comes in. See, the thing is, you try to deport these people, there's like 50 different courts you have to go through. It's a whole process. They try and make it as hard as you can. So like the entire system has changed to be able to afford these people. We want to just keep more agents. Cases that have been done, even like MS-13 gang members, and you don't really see any problem with it. People are narrow bureaucracy, and it really isn't bullshit like that. I can tell you this, no, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has the right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. Right. If you rule MS-13 as a terrorist group or connection to you deport members that were connected, and some district judge that is a liberal, I mean, because liberals have no power right now. They control neither chambers of Congress. They don't have executive power. Some district judge can just say that that's unconstitutional based off of what? And then it goes to the Supreme Court. And Trump's won some pretty big landmark decisions within the Supreme Court. This recent one, again, it's important people understand the decision is based off of the El Salvadorian government and what they want to do. If they want to have this extradited citizen have returned to the United States, we are going to have to facilitate it under the Supreme Court ruling. But that's if El Salvador wants it to happen, and Bukele is saying, no, this is just one individual fringe case where if there are connections to a gang, you can argue on whether or not the individual is a part of the gang, but that's why this is the fringe case where liberals are trying to argue it. The point of it is Trump is trying to make the country safer. He is trying to remove people that are connected to very violent organizations. And you're going to have to deal with a few fringe things. I mean, the point of it is a lot of Trump people are very disgruntled within the administration. And certainly a lot of people that are, a little bit further right in terms of just the lack of deportations that we've seen. There's just so much bureaucracy and so much paperwork and all these court cases and you can't do this, it's unconstitutional. I mean, we saw a very nice shift on the Overton window within the last 8 or 9 years in terms of illegal immigrants, people here illegally. And the shift was, well, just deport the ones that commit crimes, which they all commit crimes because they're here illegally, but the ones that commit crimes outside of that. And it shifted from that to deport all of them. 60% of the country wants all of them deported. And so when you have that, the problem is Trump gets elected because of it, Republicans win the House and the Senate because of it, but we can't actually do it because of these district judges. And this is like a fringe thing where one individual may or may not be connected, and the Trump administration said it's an administrative error, but now he's in El Salvador, and he's a citizen of El Salvador, and El Salvador says they're not giving him up and they're not releasing him. So what do you want the administration to do exactly? It's up to El Salvador, and that's what they're saying. And this is one of those things to where they're trying to get the Trump administration with an egg on their face, like they obviously want the citizen returned to the United States. And they'll say, well, we love immigrants and human rights and all this. No, they just want Trump to look bad. That's what it is. Because if Trump was doing something good, or it was helping people, there would be no coverage of this. There would be no clawing like I'm chilling with the question. I understand the question, but it's just funny how it works. And we understand the media game, it is what it is. But either way, guys, just interesting little spat there today that happened at the Oval Office. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on it. That's always the ladies and gentlemen, China has recently cut off the United States access to certain critical rare minerals that go into phone batteries, smartphones, and other important military technological devices. And so this is just another step in the trade war. Where does this take us? Does Trump use this as a way to say we need to scale up the refining? It's not just the mining, it's more so the refinement, which does have hazards in terms of the environment that we're going to have to get rid of. Really want to be free from the Chinese when it comes to rare earths. We get, they say it's around 78% of our revenues from China. It's even more than that when you look at the ones that come from other countries that are refined by the Chinese. We have large rare earth deposits in the United States. The problem is the refinement of them, the complex process. We don't have the manufacturing to be able to do it properly and at a scale that can meet our demand in a timely manner. So even when we have like the big areas and the big deposits like Mountain Pass in California, a lot of the times it gets shipped to be refined in China. And so that's a major problem. And the Chinese know that that's one of their pillars.
Losing Bravo. On your feet, kid. Take it, C. Bravo lost. You're in Charlie. Lock down Charlie. Secure at C. So long, asshole. Losing A. Losing Bravo. Working this objective. We're taking this objective. Enemy in the back. Ramming setbacks. Security capture operation. Losing Bravo. Bravo underway.
That's a bad guy. You're in charge. Losing Bravo. Losing A. That's fine. Securing B. We're losing Alpha. I can't be stopped. Spotted. Hostile. Brutal. Securing C. I never forget a death. Losing B. We're losing Alpha. Locking down Charlie. Losing Bravo. Buddy. Taking C. Losing A. Securing Charlie. Locking down Charlie. Incoming flashback.
That's been destroyed.
Securing Charlie. Losing B.
us today.
Face-off team deathmatch. Use of deadly force has been approved. recuperate. Tomorrow you'll be running heroes until you drop.
Everyone is equal in these games. All right, eyes up. You're the HVT. Leads ours. Enemy PID. Send flowers.
Enemy HVT is down. Hostile HVT located. We took out their HVT. You're our HVT. Stay alert. Enemy HVT is down.
That was just for you. Five in a row by my feet.
Enemy HVT on site. Take them out. Took out their HVT. Friendly HVT on site. Keep them safe. HVT is taking fire. Keep the package safe. Hostile HVT located. Our HVT has been eliminated.
Enemy in the...
Protect our HVT. HVT is down. Enemy HVT on site. Take them out. HVT under fire. Repeat, HVT under fire. Friendly HVT on site. Keep them safe.
Mindset. HVT under fire. Repeat, HVT under fire. HVT is taking fire. Keep the package safe. HVT is down. They got our HVT. Safe. The HVT on site. Take them out. HVT under fire. Repeat, HVT under fire. HVT is taking fire. Keep the package safe. Our HVT has been eliminated. Took out their HVT. Take our HVT. HVT under fire. Repeat, HVT under fire. Hostile HVT located. HVT is taking fire. Keep the package safe. HVT under fire. Repeat, HVT under fire. They got our HVT. Friendly HVT on site. Keep them safe. HVT is taking fire. Package safe. Our HVT has been eliminated. Get aid working. We lost the advantage. Alright. Eyes up. You're the HVT.
Chicago MC No Name that he came out on the wrong end of it. At the peak of the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020, No Name had some worship rappers who she felt weren't doing their part when they had previously profited off of talking about social issues in their music. As she wrote, Black folks all over the country. Black folks all over the country are putting their bodies on the line and protesting for our collective safety. And your favorite top-selling rappers aren't even willing to put a tweet up. Their whole discographies be about black plight, and they're nowhere to be found. Despite the fact that No Name never mentioned anyone by name, many took her tweet as a subtle shot at artists like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, and Cole himself clearly felt the same way. In response, he dropped Snow on the Bluff, a track aimed at an unnamed woman whose tweet note, where he would go on to criticize her tone, suggesting that it came off as alienating, with bars like, it's something about the tweet's tone that's bothering, and if I could make one more suggestion respectfully, I would stay more effective to treat people like children. It's no surprise that while most core fans were just excited to hear new music, plenty of others felt like he completely missed it. Critics slammed the track as condescending and tone deaf, turning what could have been a powerful moment into a messy situation that sparked real backlash from Cole.
How is it that J. Cole has come through with this track where he's essentially made the situation about him, and he's come through like, oh, woe is me, I can't be a leader, I haven't read enough books. But then you have, oh baby, he comes through the new track, kills it. The last person you would ever expect this from, like, drops one of the wokest f***ing songs in reaction to all of this shit, and yet it is J. Cole who is bending the knee and saying, I cannot speak to this, I'm just not smart enough.
Afterwards, Cole opened up about why he felt the way to respond in the first place, admitting that he had second thoughts almost immediately, and confessing that he wasn't the leader people expected him to be, mainly because he hadn't done the reading. I stand behind every word of the song that dropped last night, he wrote on Twitter. Right or wrong, I can't say, but I can't say it was honest. Some assume to know what the song is about, that's fine. It's not my job to tell anybody what to think or feel about my work. I accept all conversation and criticisms. Follow No Name, he continued. I love and honor her as a leader in these times. She has done and is doing the reading, the listening, and the learning on the path that she truly believes is the correct one for our people. Meanwhile, a dude like me just I haven't done a lot of reading, and I don't feel well equipped as a leader in these times, but I do a lot of thinking, and I appreciate her and others like her, because they challenge my beliefs, and I feel that in these times, that's important. We may not agree with each other, but we gotta be gentle with each other. In response, No Name dropped Song 33, directly calling out Cole for choosing to write about her instead of addressing bigger issues like police brutality and racial injustice, which led to a heated debate over who was really in the wrong.
No Name called out J. Cole for calling her out at a time like this when black women and black men are being killed. Didn't No Name call people out in tweets at a time like this when black men and black women are being killed? They're all doing the same thing.
Well, it's not really I feel like this track is just basically like, come on, yo, we gotta do better. That's kind of how
they all be doing better.
And J. Cole put out a tweet to also to encourage people to go listen to the song as well.
I think the record is dope. I absolutely know that. But I just think everybody needs to collectively take a breath. I think we're all hurt right now, and we are not each other's enemy.
But many felt like the whole thing was just unnecessary and distracted from more important issues. And if anyone took the L, it was Cole. One user summed it up perfectly by saying, J. Cole took the biggest and most unnecessary loss of the year by first attacking a popular and talented rapper out of the blue, then getting bodied by said rapper in seconds, then admitting he doesn't read books, LMAO. He even got shaded by Chance the Rapper as well, who claimed that it was yet another L for men masking patriarchy and gaslighting as constructive criticism. Down the line, No Name admitted that she let herself get waylaid by it and shouldn't have even engaged.
I never spoke on his name ever, so like that is always going to be at the forefront in the beginning of the whole thing. It's like he just popped out and spoke when their name wasn't even called. Like what's his name? He does whatever he felt like it was about him. He felt some type of way. I don't know when he did that shit. I still feel like weird about me responding. Like I don't Like, after I released my song, I did come out and apologize because I felt like I let the ego get the best of me and I didn't have to respond, especially in a moment where, like, we really did not need more distractions. Like, we really needed to be focusing on what was going on. And at the same time, a warranted response. It's hip hop, so this is what we do. This is what we do at Records.
But it seems like she hasn't fully let it go, nor accepted Cole's apology or co-sign. Instead, claiming as late as 2023 that I ate on song 33. But not every apology is extended towards another rapper in this vein. Sometimes, it's an entire culture that you have happened to offend and have to make amends to. On the 2018 track ASMR, 21 Savage expressed just how wealthy he is in an inventive way. Spitting, we get in that Jewish one, everything is kosher on God. Immediately, people weren't into this line whatsoever, mainly due to the negative stereotypes that have often been used to fuel anti-Semitic rhetoric. And suddenly, the normally formidable and unforgiving 21 had to admit that it was inconvenient. And Jewish people I know are very wise with their money, so that's why I say we begin in that Jewish one. I never thought anyone would take offense. I'm sorry if I offended everybody. Never my intention. I love all people. What's crazy is that the fallout isn't even done, with the lyric getting LeBron James in trouble merely for sharing it. But as for 21, he stayed on the good side of the Jewish people.
Gotta trade him. I love my Jewish brothers and sisters. Can't trade them all.
In 21 Savage's case, he realized that even if he wasn't trying to be offensive, the historic precedent behind it meant that it looked a little sus. One person and another can't play that card as he went out of his way to talk to was pretty much armed and dangerous, and ended up paying the price for it. Over the course of his career, Soulja has been a bit of a lightning rod for controversy. Alongside getting into numerous beefs, he even came into the game being told that he was basically destroying the culture. Only now have people begun to accept that when you reflect on today's landscape, he was actually pretty influential. But one of the biggest public uproars he ever found himself in, which got out of hand really fast, came when he started beefing with the entire US military. It started with 2011, let's be real, where he had some harsh words for soldiers declaring the FBI and the army troops, each fighting for what? Be your own man. Unsurprisingly, this went down very poorly with most people, particularly with the families of those in the army, who felt that he only had that free spirit which enabled him to make a career on the line due to the sacrifices of those in the military. I always thought it was nothing but a joke anyway, but this shit tops the cake. I can't wait to hear the real rappers rip into Soulja. I say we troll the shit out of him. Let's bring this pansy to his knees. While no other mainstream rappers opted to take a pop at him over his scathing comments, the same can be said for actual military personnel, as he had them recording diss tracks on the front line. With the public and the armed forces refusing to accept what he said, Soulja decided to apologize, taking to the global grind blog to outline why he said it and what he was really trying to express. When I expressed my frustration with the US Army, not only did my words fall wrong, I was wrong to even speak on them. I have watched our country fight two wars that seem like they are never going to end. I have seen thousands and thousands of our brave men and women go through battle, and oftentimes, I think for what, he wrote. A lot of people in this country are struggling to make ends meet, and I think a lot about what would have happened if we had never gone to war. As it turns out, that would be Soulja one and only shot at men with any sort of social commentary. Since then, he's mainly known for claiming that he invented everything from Drake's flow to TikTok. And speaking of moments where things come out wrong, another rapper who had to learn the hard way about speaking to the public was none other than Cameron. During his run as the leader of the iconic Dipset, Killer Cam was never one to back down from the fight. As an ambassador for hip-hop, he made a habit of always taking on the conservative media, spawning an iconic moment where he appeared on Billboard Live.
Shoulders. I worked with by promoting to be an entrepreneur and a CEO and it's right now. At a prison. Why you not in a prison? Why you so permanent fair, right? No, wrong.
While this has had him lauded as an icon ever since, there are other remarks here because less crowded. In an interview with Anderson, where Cam spoke at the height of the Stop Snitching movement popularized by rappers.
And you have nerve damage. Does it still hurt? Oh, yeah, still quite fine. know the spot so that if you had seen who shot you, you hopefully know why. It's like something would definitely hurt my business. And when that I was ready, I just don't do that.
While this was familiar territory, he eventually went a little far and claimed that he let a mass murder slide undetected.
If there is a serial killer living next door to you, though, and you know that person when you be a snitch, you can call police and call them. If I know the serial killers, no, I want somebody buying one, but I'll probably say, like, I'm not going to be around with, I don't put them around something, but I'm not going to be like, with the signs, like, you know, serial killers.
As the backlash grew, and people began saying Cameron had taken things way too far, even beyond what the Stop Snitching movement was meant to represent, it led him to eventually apologize, admitting that he crossed the line. Looking back now, I can see how those comments can be viewed as offensive, especially to those who have suffered their own personal tragedies, or to those who put their lives on the line to protect our citizens from crime. Please understand that I was expressing my own personal frustration at my own personal circumstances. I in no way was intending to be malicious or harmful. I apologize deeply for this error of judgment, but as the years have passed, Cameron has changed his mind. During an episode of his podcast with Mace, Cam claimed that the video was skewed and looked at.
So basically, but they shot it up. 6 minutes, shot it up to I was saying, I'm like, that's just better. Neighborhood, a rough neighborhood, nothing around the song of they say, really don't have any time. So I think I bet you have some things. I bet that you have
Cut from that traditional bond to actually apologize. But recently, it's something that one legend of the game has been doing more than he ever imagined he would when he first emerged in the game. Back at the beginning of his first dominance, Eminem was as unrepentant as they come. Known for his deranged bars that took aim at everyone from his family to celebrities, the entire Slim Shady era was predicated on his refusal to back down. But navigating today's music industry has put him in situations where even he had to swallow his pride and back down. In the first instance, Abe and Tyler Creek, a lifelong friends. The problems between Em and Tyler all began after he made some tweets about his 2010 album, Recovery. Basically, Tyler did not like that album, and he went onto Twitter to voice it to everyone. That's my favorite rapper since age 7. I just think Recovery was horrible. He then doubles down, saying Recovery felt like it was designed for a mainstream crowd and didn't appreciate relapse. Over the years, he doubled down suggesting that he felt Em peaked into the house, and that his commercial-oriented songs on Recovery were the true beginning of it.
Tied down things. Help your finances take off with a 0% HOA PR balance transfer card. Even fines for paying it. Cut down your number of payments. And feel lighter by paying down debt. Find your balance transfer card on Get2Credit. This album called a lot, but it was like, this is the aesthetic I want to go with. And he went 100% with what he liked on there. People trashed it. I want the ownership to have to know. I want the ownership. It was like, he read that and was like, damn, you know what? We go back and try to rehash a moment. And when people go back, that is the most thing.
Later on, he even compared him to other legends, but felt like his evolution as an artist actually took away from how enjoyable it used to be. With all of these comments sent his way, M unsurprisingly felt a little angry by it. particularly after he took Tyler and Earl on tour during their early days. So when he decided to take aim at everyone on Kamikaze, Tyler was among the victims that he had in mind. But in the quest to take him down, Eminem let some homophobic slurs fly, declaring, "Tyler the create nothing, I see why you call yourself a fucking bitch. It's not just because you lack attention, it's because you worship these 12 walls. You're stacked with bitches." Instantly, this line was met with backlash. The collaborator Von Eichner even distancing himself from the song once he knew what was said in the verses. And shortly after the verse came out, Eminem apologized for how things went down, claiming that it was the one piece of the album that he had regret to.
I know that Tyler was a big fan of yours growing up. What happened when you figured out?
The word that I called him was on that song. One of the things where I felt like it's like in my quest, in my quest to hurt him, I realized I was hurting a lot of other people by saying. And at the time, I'm so mad, it was just whatever. I didn't feel like this.
Interestingly, while the whole world was spinning out about it, Tyler himself was unbothered. Did you ever hear me publicly say anything about it? Because I knew what the intent was. Ego pressure because people got offended by me. Don't get offended by me. When Grand Theft Auto, we heard that. We were like, okay, you're up. And they kept playing. But it turns out that the tension wasn't totally one-sided, because after gaining perspective on what Eminem was dealing with during his drug addiction era, Tyler admitted he felt bad for how harsh he'd been.
I seen this show called, I think, Painkillers on Netflix, and I like how you got it into the and I saw that show, and how it's how far
Tyler took another thing in that saying when the album came out, I fucking hated it. Publicly, like this shit was black. And after watching that show, dude, I felt so bad. I felt so bad about those tweets and things like that. Because thinking from his perspective, somehow I wouldn't say himself. It's all trying to be his life. I mean, that's a time. And find like you need to know this shit is white. He probably felt like I was attacking him. And I thought I was just like attacking him. And now I feel so bad about saying that stuff because my perspective is so limited.
Now, years later, Tyler made it clear that there's no bad blood, and he actually gave Eminem props for being one of the biggest influences on his style when he was coming up.
I love him. That dude taught me how to rap. I learned how to put words together in rhythm because of some of the Eminem stuff I was hearing and storytelling and things like that. So after watching that show, that gave me respect for him. I felt so terrible about some of the things I said about that recovery album because I realized that was a big step and meant a lot to him. And my fucking young stupid ass was like, oh man, sing song and dance. And I love living him show, but like, he's not there anymore. God, it felt terrible.
But Tyler wasn't the only loyal fan that M ended up crossing the line with. Over the years, Eminem and Rihanna took out massive hits like and she had nothing but praise for him, both as a collaborator and as a singer in general.
In his mind, that I almost feel lucky for him that he has music moment in his head. It's such a great release for him. It's all for Christ.
However, as it turns out, this didn't necessarily excuse her from getting the wrath of Shady when he was at a low moment. In 2021, a leaked Eminem track from back in 2009 emerged, with Shady directly referencing her facing domestic abuse against Chris Brown. I'm not playing Rihanna. Where'd you get the VD at? Let me add my 2 cents. Of course I side with Chris Brown. I'd get that if she gave my fucking ditch now. Although she never directly responded, everyone universally knew that wasn't something she deserved. So once again, Eminem apologized, beginning with the 2021 track Zeus, where he said the following: "Long as I re-promise to be honest, and wholeheartedly apologies, Rihanna, for that one song that leaked. I'm sorry, Ree. It wasn't meant to cause you grief. Regardless, it was wrong of me." Later, after the album emerged, he explained that it was never his intention for it to see the light of day in that form, and that he didn't even recall writing the track.
When it first happened, I was like, first, I didn't know how somebody got it. Second of all, I have no zero recollection of even remembering doing that at first. Like, the rhyme schemes didn't even sound like familiar to me. So I was caught off guard, too. I was like, what the fuck? I said that, I was 10 plus years old, but I'm not making excuses for it. I said it, and I was wrong for saying that. It was fucking stupid. A lot of times, especially with the relapse record, when I first started learning how to rap again because of the drug situation that I went through and having to relearn a lot of things, that was one of those things that it was like, well, if it rhymes, say it. I'm sure looking back now, I should have thought better.
If the unhinged man behind tracks like him and Square Dance can apologize, it's evident that anyone can. No one in hip-hop is immune to having to say sorry, and there's plenty more examples where that came from. So if you want to see a part 2 to this video, just let me know down in the comments below. As always, it's your boy Dyansty. I want to thank you all for watching today's video. As always, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Order groceries with Dash Pass and get $0 delivery fees on your order. So while you may feel like you're stocking the pantry 8 days a week, your wallet doesn't. Save more on groceries with Dash Pass. Start your free 30-day trial.
Gimmicks in hip-hop don't tend to last. Whether it's Mario Judah, Hobson, Trinidad James, or more recent examples like Dave artists who ride the wave of a single persona or the purity of hip-hop culture for so long before the novelty wears off. And at the moment, this is something that Lil Mabu is finding out in real time. Where he once appeared to have legitimate motion, his listenership has withered down from 6 million to just 2 million in just a fall. Meanwhile, he has been ridiculed for releasing some of the worst songs in recent memory.
We're going to be going through our top 10 worst songs of the year. But yeah, Lil Mabu, he had to make the list. But I don't think anyone on this list is more deserving of a spot than Lil Mabu. So shout out to this song, he decided to interpolate Danny Powder's #1 hit song, Bad Day. Yeah, he had a bad day from 2005. He turned You Had a Bad Day into these cohesive things. Some of the absolute worst audio things I've ever had the displeasure of listening to.
And now, even being associated with him is used as a diss towards actual rappers.
Yo, Bobby, maybe you remember your name? You haven't been relevant since a Little Mabu song. So I don't know where you get this disrespect, but the last song that's been relevant was a fucking Little Mabu song, and then before that was Off the Grid.
But how did he get there? And is there any way for him to salvage a career from his time cosplaying as a gangster? It's your boy Dyansty, and this is the fall of Lil Mabu. At the moment, Lil Mabu can't buy a hit or even a viral moment. But this wasn't always the case. At the moment, tracks like A Trip to the Hood, Mathematical Disrespect, and Teach Me How to Drill, everything Mabu did seemed to give up. Yo, Mabu, right now. They told me the independent
dropped in every snapshot of it. Nothing says hot. It's variable for a reason, gang.
That's why I spend 8 hours a day in school and I still put up more numbers than his fleet. Just 8 months ago, his track thing where he called out XXL for snubbing him on the freshman list was doing solid numbers, racking up 13 million views on YouTube thanks to one of the controversial lyrics. That was slick. But those days were gone, and as its views people can't believe what they're seeing. Fall off his butt. Yo, bro gotta get back on the horse. He can't be falling off like this. Lil Mabu used to be everywhere on my YouTube in late 2023 and early. After like July 2024, I stopped seeing him. Now, I haven't heard from him at all. However, when you look back at Lil Mabu, it's really not surprising he's now falling on the time. Because as entertaining as some people found it, the shaky foundations of his hip-hop career were never sustainable.
My name is Matthew DeLuca. And my favorite thing about Kids Walk for MSK Kids is getting together with friends and family to support such a wonderful cause.
This is the real Lil Mabu, an upper-class kid raised in a 5-bed, 5-bath, 3,327 square foot condo in the city's lush Upper East Side. Rather than spending his early years in the trenches like many of the rappers who he aspired to be like, the only time Mabu was outside was when he was in the Hamptons at his family's 6,182 square foot house in Waterloo, Long Island. In fact, the town square of Southampton may actually be seen in some of his viral TikTok videos. The value of these two properties alone, being at $12 million, it's clear that Mabu was born in the lap of luxury. And as a result of picking up his love of drill music and the education system, Mabu's affluent lifestyle resulted in gaining him a diploma at the exclusive collegiate school in Manhattan. Believed to be the oldest school in the United States with a lineage that dates back to 600 years, his time at the plush establishment would have cost his parents $60,000 a year in tuition. Amid receiving his education at the same place as the likes of JFK Jr., David Duchovny, and the president of Warner Bros. Records, Lil Mabu's life is a million miles removed from the complicated existence that he portrayed in his music. And instead of navigating turf wars and lifestyle, the only real criminal history in Mabu's family comes from white-collar drama, courtesy of his father, Peter Dyansty, who actually has a longer rap sheet than his son. As the owner of the radio, he made headlines in 2016 when he was assaulted during a memorial after telling the grieving family member that their 19-year-old mother was next, and that he was first too. Since then, Peter has gotten a but he flashes a gun way less than his son does in his music videos. In addition to being able to dispute rival homes over turf, the rapper's father's unsavory conduct even extends to his divorce from his ex-wife Jane, who has claimed that he cheated her out of $1,000 in their divorce settlement. Back in 2006, Jane saw the family's firstborn child, Peter, die after their apartment collapsed due to a botched repair job and was briefly pronounced clinically dead herself, filed a lawsuit which declared that her husband had conspired with corrupt judges to fix their court proceedings in order for her to win vast sums of money. As for rapping, Peter began making music at a young age, but it was a far cry from what you're used to hearing from him, and with more you'd hear from Ian Dior, Torkin, Moral, and when he was first pushing his music career, his initial interviews
I mean, first off, I think just my age, just over a short period of time, the progress that me and my fanmates have just kind of accomplished. I mean, I've only been in the game for like a year, give or take a couple months, so.
Award-wise, you were the winner of the 69th Annual Jack Woodruff Memorial Public Speaking Competition. By the way, you also won the Jamie Porter Cup for excellence in writing all the way back in 6th grade. You've been noted for your writing for a while, not just in music. Can I read you what the definition of Lil Mabu is on Urban Dictionary? It is used in a sentence kind of like sliced bread. For example, damn, this new rapper drink is the best thing since Lil Mabu, but not quite as good. What do you think about that? Oh, is there a beat? Does Lil Mabu have clout?
That's how you define clout.
That's a good answer.
Looking back, they took a sour taste in people's mouths. Award for are lame and not genuine. All this intelligence when he chose to rap about gay violence, spitting the block, and other harmful things. But even back then, he was already plotting his new persona.
I know on Instagram we've been teasing a new drill single. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I have a drill release that's coming soon. I've been working on it. I think I've had the song done for like 2 months, but definitely just different. I like to switch it up a lot, like from just different styles of music and rap and hip hop. Like I'm gonna release a project first, then I'll probably hit it with a music video, EP. I'm thinking album yet, but definitely more singles and EPs and things of that sort. But I think that I evolved as an artist. I was kind of like just getting better pretty rapidly, so I would almost release songs. So I just have to be more consistent this year. Just keep being consistent, releasing music and building a more fan base and things of that nature.
Almost overnight, anyone who's been exposed to Lil Mabu beforehand were about to see a whole new side of him. And for a lot of fans, he was about to appear on their radar for the first time. From the release of Demon Time onwards, he began to pick himself as a thug in his music. But as if the shock factor of the severely privileged white kid talking greasy wasn't enough, it was also supplemented by the groups online.
You know, I really like I'm sick. I really big wolf. Inside building.
Don't mess with him. Pull up a tennis racket or a club on you. Fast tracks like No Snitching with Dusty Locane began to go viral. Mabu took off. While some people bought in, others refused to engage. Mabu, a marketing genius, no finesse to Spain, Bro did a whole press tour in this outfit.
They should have just told me. Should have just told me. I already know what type of time bro gonna be on. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. He got constantly that troll shooter. It's like in that music with a troll to it. No.
Immediately, many critics saw Mabu as a like a hit.
It's clear he doesn't take the music that he's standing on all that seriously in terms of the content it's delivering, and is mostly just using it as a platform to act like a clown and gain clout. Seeing Mabu build a name for himself doing all of this leaves me impressed in one breath, but also kind of grossed out in another, because unless he has a huge team of people behind him, he is significantly responsible for some of the smartest, but also some of the most cynical and opportunistic music marketing I've seen from an independent artist ever.
But he fully committed to the gimmick, even finding himself in the ops that he craved due to a feud with fellow drill rapper Use J's after accusing him of one of
why does the problem just like, oh, that shit, I don't know why this white boy be trying to be doing this one. There's people like, oh, geez, fake trip this, fake trip that. He was on that bandwagon, you feel me? He was on that train, so he was being a fan, feel me? So I'm cool him to saying what he was saying. Honestly, I'm supposed to be under these comments, chatting. Under the chatting, I want to like, all that money, but it's not personal friend that keeps me.
Whether it was someone thinking of someone, even getting the unlikely close line of the late MV problem. As his connections grew and mathematical disrespect landed on the charts, the usual debate started. Was he really making it on his own? Or was there something on my initiative? Why am I not on Spotify editorial playlist? Why am I not on vocabulary? Everything that's labeled on, Mabu doesn't see the light of day. I'm more blackballed than I am planted. So man, I'll take it as a compliment. As Mabu's popularity grew, some unfavorable comparisons. The first being to a rapper notorious for paying gang members to surround him and boost his street credibility. A move that many suspected Mabu was mimicking as well.
This reminds me of when 6ix9ine was putting out his shit and people was hating on him because of his appearance, like how he had the rainbow shit, da-da-da. But there was a lot of people that were fucking with his shit and everybody was like, hey, how can you fuck with this? This shit's not even good, da-da-da. And then I feel like, I'm not saying that something's going to happen, but it's like, I feel like it's going to be like a situation where somebody checks him or something, and it's like, depending on what happens in that situation, that's when people are going to switch. That's when people are going to pick a definitive side. Because I feel like right now people are in public saying, like, nah, this is ass, da-da-da, but low-key fuck with it.
Hey, put this in your ear. I know how you hate going to my parents' house because they're always speaking Spanish. You can never understand anything.
But watch this. Me, I fucks with it. I do fuck with it. But I feel like something's going to happen where somebody's probably going to check his card. And that's when we're going to find out if all this shit is like just for fun, just for show, or if he's like, this is like the real shit he on.
Rather than quitting while he was ahead, Mabu just kept intensifying the whole gangster shtick. And as is always the case with a gimmick, the effects would begin to wear off, leaving fans no longer interested and irritated instead. Seeking to replicate the chart success he had with Mathematical Disrespect, Mabu landed his next Billboard single by diving headfirst into controversy, clout chasing his way into the drama of one of hip-hop's most toxic couples. On the track Mr. Take Ya Bitch, Mabu calls out Blueface by name, rapping, yes, I took his lady, I like blue faces, so I took his baby. Meanwhile, Krishan Rock's verse also calls out the father of her child, with Rock declaring that only thing that's broke is my father. Gave birth to my kid, but I hate his father. To make things even more bizarre, Krishan marked the collab with what appears to be a new tattoo that reads Mabu's pussy, just above her private area. And by the looks of it, Mabu was the one who pinned her verse.
You gonna really let a white boy diss? He ain't ballin'. I think, bro, you really gonna let a bitch diss me?
During the rollout, they even went as far as to act like they were legitimately dating. But in the end, the returns probably weren't worth it. The track barely cracked the Hot 100, the whole stuff collapsed when it became clear that Krishan was still in love with Blueface. And just like that, Mabu took it. Make sure to add Lil Mabu's career to my resume. Why is your girl texting me every day, bro? What is she waiting on? Shambles. Despite the setback, Mabu kept finding allies who helped him push for legitimacy, all the while stirring up more controversy. And one of his biggest cosigns came when he linked up with Fabio Foreign for teaching how to drill. And as he closed in on his debut album, Mabu obtained features from Lil Baby and Enemy Chopper. To him, the reason for achieving these successes were simple. In a world where there are thousands of rappers all vying for position, it's his marketing capabilities, the buzz he built around himself that made it possible.
Getting myself into the room with these people for reasons other than my music. I wouldn't have been able to be in those rooms just based on the status I had as an artist at that time. But the services I'm offering these artists were in such need by their labels, because the labels are hiring me. I figured what the hell do I need a label for if they need that?
But it's fair to say that by then, this ability to snake everything he did to go viral was tapering off. And sadly for Mabu, the release of his debut album was about to confirm that the novelty of his initial run was something he couldn't recapture. And worse than that, the album, which didn't chart, was regarded as one of the worst of the entirety of 2025.
All the fighting, all the cultural robbery, all that stuff that you can find in, it also applies even more to Lil Mabu. He seems blissfully unaware of just how gross his existence in the world of drill music is, and how far his white privilege, if you want to call it that, has taken him. He says, I wasn't supposed to make it this far. I'm talking racially. You're a fucking young white boy who was not born into destitution. You literally were supposed to make it, and you are fucking making it.
The bit is old, bro. He has one joke in his music, and it's, look, I'm a rich white kid, but I'm making music like I'm from the hood, while having the worst bars, corniest lyrics, cringiest vocals, and just overall having the tackiest songs ever. I genuinely don't understand who's listening to this. Lil Mabu should make skits with the songs he makes instead of being an actual rapper. With the joke officially running thin, Mabu stepped away from the spotlight, revealing that it was a conscious decision on his part, and in the process, he let his true character spill out once more.
Artists I look up to start becoming my friends, gaining notoriety, but at what cost? I wasn't spending time with my family, I neglected meaningful friendships, I lost valuable moments in my childhood that I can't get back. I decided at the beginning of the summer to find some balance. So I hung out with my friends before all my buddies go off in different directions. I spent a lot of time with my pops, my mom, my sister, and I got some rest. But from that, Mom was feeling great, but I recognized that everything comes at a cost.
Seemingly admitting that he wasn't who he said he was, this earned comparisons to people like Slim Jesus, albeit a much richer version. Hailing from Frank Block in Hamilton, Ohio, Slim styles himself as a drill rapper, only for him to later reveal that his rhymes didn't reality.
How involved are you streetwise in terms of...
Streetwise, like, I mean, for the most part on the street shit, like, I got homies that are in that shit, and I know people who are, and people around me. I mean, I haven't, like, I'm not out here catching bodies and shit, obviously. Like, I'm fucking smart.
Once that seal was broken and the excitement wore off, it was impossible for him to recover. And now, it looks like there are some similarities. Just look at how King Yella discusses them.
Are you familiar with Lil Mabu? The little white kid. Yeah, he's going with it. Bro, he's staging because he went to like a really nice private school in New York City, and then he's staging protests. Like he had people like holding signs, like protesting him being in the school and stuff.
And finessing us, he know what he's doing.
Expert level
He
trauma.
never lies, and he know already. He know. He said that when you're young and you see shit already, or he got somebody marketing behind him that know what to do already. But he really know the fucking rap. He know the fucking rap fast.
Yella has seen this story play out before with Slim Jesus. Just like Mabu, Slim initially figured out how to game the system, but in the end, it all fell apart. Yella recognized the parallels, acknowledging that while Mabu was making it work for now, the clock was ticking just like it did for Slim.
It was not real at all. Everything, it was not real. So we had to figure out, we didn't want to shoot like it wasn't real. Like, how the fuck, I don't know how y'all finessed the camera to make it look like this was a real hood. Wasn't nothing going on.
In this regard, King Yella saw both similarities and differences. Mainly that Mabu has way more room to fail than Slim ever did.
I think Slim Jesus was not in on the joke so much, where Lil Babu seems like he totally gets it. He's playing the system like very expertly.
He know how to move. He's a rich white kid. He's not.
Okay, Slim Jesus is broke ass what he did from.
I think Slim Jesus wants to get a little money.
Yeah.
Put him, he let them people get in there, yeah, man. He fucking real.
In this sense, Mabu's rise is probably more comparable to another artist. He's a suburban white kid whose music is deeply connected to cultural forms and experience. And just like Ian's time in the spotlight seems to be fading fast.
He's the Dallas for topic off right now, and I kind of feel like he and the music industry is one of the biggest known ones I've heard in the music industry in a while. Here's the appeal of Ian in a nutshell. He essentially rips on Liquid Cardi mercilessly, as well as maybe the auto-tune out there replace his vocal inflections, and he does this while pretty much flexing the fact that he is just your average white bro. Like, oh man, you had to do it to me, oh man, oh my god. The real joke of valedictorian is that Ian is trying to build a career off of just bluntly ripping off his contemporaries and just passing in a carbon copy of their work without putting his own personality or spin on it at all.
When he was at the top of his game, Mabu evaded contracts and insisted that he could maintain the success he achieved single-handedly.
Now, over the summer, that's big levels. He represented to this one.
Watch this. But now he's probably getting cashed in when he could, as these days. But already seems that it was feasible in the long run.
Yeah, you got Emory's? I want to have Emory. Is that where you go to school?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, cool. I thought you went on a sport in New York for some reason.
I did, yeah.
Okay. Nice, man. That's super dope. I love that Ishan, you could be in college and still have a farm career. I'm sure that's very difficult. Yeah, but you make it with music stuff.
That's
too much. And you're fully independent, right?
Yeah, fully.
Yeah, independent out there.
Yeah, this believe 1% clear day today.
Oh, yeah?
Just out looking for a job.
Okay, that's
Career day.
Yeah.
But that hasn't stopped him from trying to recapture the old streak of luck with viral moments. At one point, he even almost shot himself. Some people even thought that was a simple stunt. Bro is not Cheddar Bob. All the while, his monthly listeners are in free fall, dropping from 8.1 to 2 million on Spotify, while on YouTube, tracks like Young Traka and widely clowned Obby Day have the lowest views of any of his content since King of the World 3 years prior. Desperate for attention, he's not pretending to be gay purely for clout, and asking his followers if they'd still support him if he was homosexual. But for Mabu, it's not the need for bigger viral moments that matters. The reason why he's failing is due to the lack of authenticity, as well as the overarching downfall of the subgenre. Drill came with a gimmick and a good sound, but drill is dying. You can't play a character in rap. It was good shock value, but unless he pivots, he won't make it. Considering he's just 19 years of age, Mabu has every opportunity to regroup. But ultimately, a man of his means not making it as a rapper isn't exactly a tragedy. While Lil Mabu's time is running out, for Matthew DeLuca, there is no shortage of opportunities. Now at college and with a rich family to fall back on, hip-hop was never the only route for him to succeed, in the way that it was for those drill rappers he emulated. While at the same time, he has been able to do and say things that would haunt a kid from a less privileged background. But for him, it'll be easy enough to be forgotten as he assimilates back into the upper-class culture he spent his early life in. And unless he evolves musically back to something closer to this reality, then the days of Lil Mabu, the hip-hop star who sat somewhere between tribute and parody, are likely a thing of the past. It's your boy Waste. If you guys like this video, I'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Investing for all.
Gotta be the least surprised and breaking
most tweet shots Orion has ever put together. Coach Mike Budenholzer is out after finishing 11th. Still crazy. 11th in the Western Conference with a 36-46 record. We all saw this. The writers on the wall, things were not looking good. I mean, they had an opportunity, and it's still crazy to me that they missed the postseason completely. But they had all the opportunity in the world to at least make the 10th seed. You think about, hey, reminder, Dallas Mavericks traded with Luka Doncic. And not only did they trade with Luka Doncic, the person they traded for played 2 quarters before he went out with a major injury. And in the midst of all of that, Kyrie Irving also went out with a major injury. So the Dallas Mavericks are just not very good. Their 2 star players are just gone. And the Phoenix Suns are completely healthy, and they still couldn't catch up to the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks, some games, best player was Kai Jones. Other games, it was Brady Williams. And no disrespect to those groups, because I truly didn't believe those were really NBA players. But I'm just trying to showcase to you that the Suns not even catching up with the Dallas Mavericks is a travesty. And I'm going to go down to say that this current Phoenix Suns team is one of the most disappointing regular season teams in recent history. And I'm saying a lot. Because last year's Phoenix Suns team was hella disappointed too. I think it gets lost in time. But going into the 2023-2024 season, the Suns were tied for the 3rd best odds to win the whole goddamn league. They underachieved. They were a regular season team and got to the postseason and got absolutely stuck by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Them boys didn't catch a game. They got so bad that Kevin Durant, who had been talking bad about Rudy Gobert and in Rudy Gobert's face in regular season games, went to the podium and said, damn, that dude Rudy Gobert is pretty good, huh? That's how disappointed they were. But me, an idiot, saw the change they made going into the season. I was not a guy, if you go back and watch the video, I did not believe the Suns were a championship quality team, but I thought that because of their offseason, they had the things that could help them become a really good regular season team. Let me break it down for you. In that postseason, they just felt like they needed new coaching. You saw that, and the guy that they brought in was Coach Mike Budenholzer. And one thing you can agree with, or at least we used to be able to agree with, Coach Mike Budenholzer was a great floor raiser for a lot of different teams. He comes into an organization, and immediately they become better than they were before. I saw it as went into the league office or the office of the Phoenix Suns and said, Jones, bro, I need a point guard. Bradley Beal and Devin Booker are great at what they do, but we desperately need a real point guard. And this offseason, they got 2 real point guards. They got Tyus Jones. They got Monte Morris. And I don't want to act like those dudes are superstar level guards, but given what the Phoenix Suns were looking for, a guy that could just set up the other star players, those dudes are perfect. Tyus Jones doesn't turn the ball over.
Snag your W-2 and file your taxes 100% free. Plus, get your biggest refund. File free now. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. Click for eligibility.
Before I can use my mind to facilitate. He does all of that. I want to say shout out to Tyus. He took a hell of a chance. And you know, the whole Fred VanVleet bet on yourself works out for Fred VanVleet or Jimmy Butler. It didn't work out for Tyus Jones, who turned down more money to go to the Suns because it was a better opportunity to showcase, hey, I can be a winner. And eventually he lost his starting spot, and I don't know what the hell happens with Tyus Jones next. But they brought in real point guard play. They brought in the coach who probably fit, in my mind, going into the season, fit better with the team. And none of that even mattered. It got so bad that once we got to around January, I had just neglected the Phoenix Suns. Things were already bad. I could have put together 13 Suns videos talking about how disappointing the stretch had been. And I just didn't. Because I didn't enjoy watching them play. I didn't enjoy watching them play. They have some of my favorite players of all time in Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And I didn't enjoy watching them. It is insane to think about. This Phoenix Suns team had a worse record than the fucking Chicago Bulls. And it's not even just record. They had a worse net rating than the Spurs, who lost in February, than the Trailblazers, than the Bulls. Like, this is just so disappointing. So when I'm saying that it was the least surprising breaking news of all time, yes it is. And I'm hoping that this is not just the start or the finish of what's going on in Phoenix, because they need real changes immediately. Devin Booker has been in the league for 11 seasons now. He's had 8 coaches in 11 seasons. I'm going to say that again. He has had 8 coaches in 11 seasons. He's going to get another. That is ridiculous to think about. The only form of stability Devin Booker had
was a 3-year stretch where Monty Williams was the coach. Before that, between Earl Watson, Igor, Jay Triano, Frank Vogel, now Coach Bud, the man that's never really had any form of consistency. And now you think about who the Suns are and what's about to go on. Everybody, just like it was not surprising that Coach Bud got fired, it is not about to be surprising when Kevin Durant gets traded. It's not even just, we're not even just talking at this point. Kevin Durant, if we look at Kevin Durant's tweets, which is, shout out to KD, he always giving us content. Let's go read his tweets recently. Oh, Kevin, I can bookmark this, Kevin. Deleted the tweet. Somebody have to have a screenshot or something. Give me a second. But Kevin Durant had tweeted this, was this yesterday? Yesterday, and it's gone now. So I gotta find somebody that got receipts. And it is an awful place. And like in the vacuum, but boy, do they always got the receipts. So, Aaron says, goes to dribble 20 times, create more opportunities for double teams, and turning the ball over. They talk about some basketball stuff, but Kevin Durant comes back with 3 turnovers in 36 minutes a game, 20 dribbles. It's an over-exaggeration, but I've learned Suns fans do that when they want to prove a point about how much they want me off the team. Cameron comes in and says, man, we don't want you off the team, Slim, but what other options we got? We can't run it back, and you'll get us the best return, respectfully. And he said respectfully. Shook the hand. So the tweet that Kevin Durant did, the leak was the one that he was talking about. Suns fans do this. And he probably was like, you know what, that's probably not the smartest thing to say. But damn it, Kevin, is 55,000 people that already saw it, and I saw it too, and then these people saw it. But the respectfully, recognizing that, yeah, this is probably over. Not even just that, Shams Charania also put out that, we're about to see at the beginning of the summer major changes that we flew working with Kevin Durant and his business partner, Rich Kleiman, on a trade. So it is an inevitability at this point that Kevin Durant traded and Coach Bud is out. And then the conversation, if we're just strictly talking about the coaching for a second here, is like, what's next as a coach, right? We did just see 2 really at least good NBA coaches get fired. But I will remind you of coaches that you just got rid of. You just got rid of coaches with championship resumes. You got rid of coaches who were widely seen before they took your damn job as good hires. So if you're trying to tell me you're going to fire two championship coaches and Vogel and Bud and now bring in Mike Malone, just continue that recipe, or you're going to bring in, Taylor Jenkins don't have no championship, but widely considered a good NBA coach, that doesn't make sense to me. So maybe the next iteration of the Suns coaching job is somebody without that type of resume. You take a shot on a Joe Mazzulla, or not specifically Joe, but Joe Mazzulla's type, a guy that's been on the benches behind the head coach for years and now has this level of acknowledgement or knowledge for the game or whatever. Go like the young route. But boy, have they tried that where they went overseas to get Igor, and it was an absolute, it's nasty. So I guess we got to wait and see what Coach James or GM James Jones ends up doing. But hey, maybe James Jones is gone. Maybe James Jones is gone. He did a really phenomenal job building that Phoenix Suns team with KD, or not KD, with Chris Paul and Devin Booker, Hale. Then we get to Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton. That team was magnificent. Actually, missed that team. I took it for granted, even though my boy Chris Paul was on that team. He did an amazing job there. That's not it. You look at the history of their draft picks and him publicly saying that they don't really give a damn about draft picks. And you look at some of the other teams that are competing on a year-to-year basis where they care about the draft picks. Even if it is a 30th overall pick, the 42nd overall pick, they genuinely care about getting the right talent in the door. I did think that they drafted relatively well this season with Ryan Dunn and also Iguodala, but other than that, just their history of drafting and trading on draft night is just straight up nasty. Getting back to the Kevin Durant thing, has not obviously been great. And, the one guy saying that you're the person that can get us back to best return respectfully, I just don't know how it's trades and receiving his trade. Kevin Durant was part of the trade. But given where the Suns are, the leverage they may have in these trades, what they get in return, it's not even any close to what they get in return. That's my speculation. What they get for is one of these younger, decent teams playing down in the playoffs. They get Caesar Sports now the same game parlays for local events. They were there. Say, Caesar Sportsbook at $1 W rates your next 10 wagers. Prior thing together. And is that Jordan's GMs are just smarter now than 10 years ago, and even smarter now than 4 years ago. Everybody's getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Math is smarter, and then the stretch patterns getting in the second apron and all these things. So I just like that does get traded. I won't be surprised about if we all look at that trade package and be like, that's it, right? It ain't gonna be Mikhail Riggs, Cam Johnson, and all the first round picks. It ain't gonna be that type of package for Kevin Durant this time around. And the only other option outside of trading Kevin is making the decision to trade Devin. And I hate that idea. I love singular team guys. I always have. By all accounts, Matt Ishbia and the people up top, Devin Booker is not even available. But I do think you have to have that conversation, right? You know, again, one of those teams flame out and they're giving you a call. You have to take the call. You have to listen to the offer. You have to. You know, again, I hope that he doesn't get traded, but it would be malpractice, in my personal opinion, to not at least pick up the phone and give it some consideration. It's malpractice and get to Matt Ishbia. Because other than him lowering ticket prices and sending antennas to the locals and, you know, lowering the price of in-arena food and all of that stuff, this is a great idea of what you should not do when you first buy a team. Some of the quotes that he has had over the last 2 years still completely blow my mind. What is the exact quote? Was it 29 other teams? Let's see. Matt Ishbia. 29 other teams. And was it 29? Was it 26? I'm sorry, 26 of them would trade their whole team for our team and our draft picks and everything as is. That was a goddamn lie. Because, you know, being a bad team or a disappointing team, there's levels to it as far as fandom goes, right? I think there are a lot of tormented teams in the team fan bases in the NBA. But when you think about some of these teams, like the Jazz being bad, again, they know what they're doing, right? They have a goal, they're trying to achieve that goal. The Pelicans didn't come into the season with that goal in mind, but about 2 months in, they put it together, that's the goal. The Spurs end up losing Wemby, the Trailblazers have the goal. Then you get to the Suns, where the thing that these teams have hope for the future, right? The Jazz, hopefully, fingers crossed, that win a first round pick, hoop flag. The Pelicans, you know, they just got a new guy in. Joe Dumars is back. Joe Dumars has been GM or basketball ops got, 12 years or so? He's finally back, and we'll see what he ends up doing differently than what Griffin was up to. The Spurs obviously have Wemby, and the Trailblazers have a young team with their own draft pick. Even if we go out west, all of these teams towards the bottom, other than I would say the 76ers, like, feel like there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Because you don't own any of your own first-round picks, and because you don't know who your coach is, or because you don't trust your owner, or because you don't trust your GM, the Suns are just one of those tormented teams right now. And then you ask yourself, okay, let's do it. Let's ask 29 other GMs who would switch spots with Matt Ishbia in the Phoenix Suns. I don't know if it's one. I don't know if there's one GM that's like, yeah, I'd rather take what the Suns got going on rather than and that's saying something. They got that. They got Kevin right now. I just don't see it. What other team could it be? Even a team that put on one of those idiotic trades in NBA history, they're like, you can convince yourself that that is still a better roster and a better organization than what the hell the Suns got going. And then you get to the other quote talking about he doesn't understand a rebuild. And even if we lose this year, next year we're going to try to be better. It's like, I think the sentiment makes sense, right? Like, there are teams throughout NBA history that didn't go the traditional rebuilding route and turn themselves into really good competitive teams and championship quality teams. It's just, I don't know, the feel of the quote. Yeah, what these other 22 teams did to be good, they tripped. You feel me? I don't understand. Wow, the OKC Thunder traded Paul George for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and 13 first-round picks. I don't understand that world. I don't understand it. I don't understand when the Celtics traded away some of the greatest players in the franchise history to get a reset. I don't understand, even though it gave them Jay Brown. It's like just really like a slap in the face to the other teams from basketball and the other organizations, because every single one of these teams that look at being good, the Houston Rockets went through a 4 or 5 year rebuild, and now they have young, excited talent with a great coach. That rebuild was very, very necessary. Even the Lakers, post-Kobe went on their rebuild thing, and then eventually they got Bron and the young players they got in their post-Kobe rebuild to trade for Anthony Davis and use that to win a championship and to trade Anthony Davis for the Doncic. All these teams have gone their route of doing the whole, take a couple years back to get some draft capital and get our rebuild that way. It's like, yo, there's 0% chance we do that because I don't understand it. And it's just an NBA or basketball guy. He played at Michigan State. Like, he knows basketball. He's played one basketball at the bare minimum. It's not like he's like Dallas that don't know anything about hoops. He knows hoops. He's watching hoops. You can't say that. Specifically, look at his goddamn monster. He like success they had under him. And I feel like it's not crazy. You know, them not having a light at the end of the tunnel. There are 29 teams that are either in the playoffs or now they can change because of the draft spot, obviously. But and it's so funny in hindsight to be like, damn, Coach Frank Vogel wasn't that bad, huh? At least he got some playoffs, damn it. So yeah, I don't know what happens next for the Phoenix Suns, and I guess we got to wait and see.
$150 phone special. When you bet $5, win or lose.
Yeah, this is the friend catch-up. Let's take a look at what happened in the Premier League this weekend, and oh, lads. Right, let's go. Newcastle 4, Man United 1. Oh, lads. Please vote clear.
4-0. What was that? 4-0. It's 2. A heavy win over Manchester United at St James's Park is Drew Barnes, Isaac Murphy and Joe Linton for the heaviest defeat of the Amorim era.
I said that Newcastle United were overdue a thumping win over Manchester United. And well, look at that. They did score 4, lads. Back when I was a kid in Ireland, Newcastle never beat Manchester United. Oh no, because Man United were the best team in the world. Newcastle were getting vindicated. I remember trudging into school in 2008. Manchester United, over the course of just 5 weeks, played Newcastle twice and beat them 11-1 on aggregate. Going into school as the sole Newcastle fan, it was embarrassing. Even the kids who didn't follow football looked at me as if I had dead frogs in my lunchbox. Lads, it wasn't cool to like Antoine Sibierski, but wow. Now, Newcastle United have just done the double over Manchester United for the first time since 1931. That is nearly 100 years of failing to beat Man United twice in a season. That is such a terribly embarrassing stat. First of all, I've seen Swansea do the double over this club. I remember when Newcastle nicked their first win at Old Trafford in decades. Back in 2013. Was that too good to be true? Yes. Because in the reverse picture at St James's Park, Newcastle were battered 4-0 by David Moyes just weeks before he was sacked. But here, to comprehensively wipe the floor with Man United twice, 6-1 on aggregate, lads, Newcastle team is unbelievably special. Sandro Tonali is a ridiculous football player, and it's almost a sporting crime that he spent a year out eating pizza on the couch. What an unbelievable loss of the sport he was, because honestly, he's already one of the greatest midfield players in Premier League history. I'm getting Tottenham Modric vibes, who Newcastle once tried to sign, and is now a 40-year-old Galactico shrined by Swansea. Wait, what? Yeah. No idea. This is like when KSI tried to box weight bridge. It's about as random as me announcing that I want to eat Teal Baker's earwax. Oh look, this Newcastle team is incredible. Harvey Barnes doesn't start for Newcastle. No, he is very much the second choice left winger, and many wrote him off as a flop. Sorry, he's got 13 goals. He's just 18 Premier League starts for the club, and in one of those starts, he came up injured after 12 minutes. Sorry, but those are frankly ridiculous stats. Honest running is secretly dream, lads. This has the potential to be the most surreal season ever. Not only have the Magpies lifted a couple of lads, hang on a second, just beat Crystal Palace on Wednesday night, and suddenly Newcastle are 4 points off second underneath an Arsenal team who are now asleep at the wheel. And Arsenal, who Newcastle have already beaten 3 times this season so far, and can make a 4 on the trot next month. From Newcastle fans holding anyhow sack forms business. He can get soon, by the way, but I didn't actually finish as high as second. That was ludicrous to me. I feel like when we saw Sadio Mane finish second at the Ballon d'Or, it just didn't look right. That's still for rock bottom of the league. Less than a month before Christmas, 3 years ago, the only team they had managed to beat by late January was Burnley. If they actually wind up finishing second, just wow, second in the league. What? But look, Manchester United are at this place. They are. Their scouting process is completely utter choke. How do they land on these other dreams? It's a complete nonsense. We're at a stage now where I honestly wouldn't be shocked at point with Ronnie Boss because his name kind of sounds like Haaland. Trust me, I've seen it before. I mean, Newcastle United used to sign players off YouTube. Back when YouTube was just videos of cats eating cheese. Just a few years ago, the club went full publicity stunt. They signed Callum Wilson in 2020, and he appeased the fans when he said that he joined because his son's favorite film was Go. You know, the fictional movie of the club signing some Mexican forward Santiago Munez. They looked up the nurse, steal Lauren Rivera's Go, and get pulled to Real Madrid. Well, guess what? A year later, Newcastle United signed Santiago Munez from Mexico, which was so embarrassing. I might cry. Well, that is what manages are now in 1X. Are you going to get the number 7 shirt with Piano Carol to somewhere MX? Not only are the players crying average, but they're being asked to play by the football that just doesn't suit them. And honestly, I like this that from those travelling fans who were great and loud. It's actually a disgrace. Already, Nottingham Forest and everyone. Would you look at that? I have been saying for months that Nottingham Forest will trip up, and catch up the Champions spots. And people have said that my agenda is so bad that it's childish. It's like, no. Asking your mum to accompany you on a date is childish. Munching on the top of the tank for to take a 30 is childish. Still ordering chicken nuggets off the children's menu when you've got a mustache is childish. Still laughing at the jokes in the Falcon view is perfectly normal, actually. Never mind, we don't want to finish. But these are childish things. Saying that a club that was really relegated from the Championship just 12 months ago will not win Champions League football, that is not childish.
Protect our HVT. Enemy HVT on site.
It's not childish, my friends. That was realness. Everyone seemed to be on board the Forest train. But it's like no one could see rationally. Yet they wanted to see the miracle happen, sure, but no. You do not lose at home to a team coached by David Moyes and still qualify for the Champions League. No. No, Forest should be terrified because if Newcastle beat Palace on Wednesday, then suddenly Forest are just 2 points above Man City, who less than 2 years ago won the treble below them in Chelsea. And Chelsea and Forest have to play on the final day of the season. And lads, I mean, if Chelsea were to beat Forest tomorrow, they would leapfrog them in the league. 10 minutes after Villa, just 3 points behind Forest. And as the Villa team were one huge win away from a Champions League semi-final against Arsenal. These are all smashingly quality teams. And you've also got an FA Cup to think about. Don't tell me the Forest will slip up. Yeah, I remember when Forest were in the FA Cup final back in 2008. They were unbelievable. Jermaine Defoe was on fire. They were challenging for the Champions League. But then they only scored 1 goal in their final 5 league matches, losing 4 on the bounce. Forest are going to get distracted too. They already are. This is a Forest team. Lost 5 of their last 10 league games. And it's a 50% loss rate from January. And everyone still seems to think they're going to be in the Champions League next season. Are we living in cuckoo land? Chelsea 2, Ipswich 2. Play the clip.
Penalty free. And look, it's not exactly a rare occurrence for Palmer to scoop the man of the match water stand for fridge. It's going to happen again. But on goal, it's going to be Alex taking the plaudit after some reflex saves, whilst Cole is going to take his goal drought to 14 games. But yeah, I'm so confident Palmer not breaking his up against Palmer that if he does, it's Cole or Alex, that I will drink 20 glasses of water in one sitting.
Alex Palmer just saved my life, because I didn't realize this at the time, but apparently drinking 20 glasses of water isn't exactly a picnic for your kidneys. So yes, when Cole whacked it, his first shot was just in his left, and his goalie namesake just his claw to keep it out. Oh, he fully stopped me from sinking into a watery grave. Honestly, I'd probably have the same fate as Bootstrap Bill. At least I have a straight chunks of my bladder off the fridge, lads. I was right. No, Ipswich didn't win, but lads, if Jadon Sancho had not rolled back in Corbin days, curling a wonder goal, something he's been refusing to do since 2020, then the tractor boys would have left Stamford Bridge with the most meaningless of wins. I mean, yes, it is crazy to write them off as being down already when they can still mathematically catch Everton, who are 13. Hey, they're still in with a chance of finishing home matches, kid. Like, why not? They're not really winning their games. Teams should not be promoted back to back. Yes, I know Sheffield United did that once and their momentum took it the 9th in the Premier League. Well, look at the state of them after that. It's 5 years later, and I've since seen them embarrass themselves so much in the top flight since. And no, I really don't want them to win the playoffs. Seeing Chris Wilder once again knocking on the Premier League's door. Oh, it's gonna be your creepy uncle is peering in through your window whilst you're trying to brush your teeth on the loo. Well, look, this Ipswich team have fight, spirit, and if only they'd sign Hammer in the summer. You never know, because I tell you what, this guy is an absolute late bloomer of a goal. You might think he just come from nowhere, but no. 10 years ago, May 2015, he was sitting on a Premier League bench against Arsenal for West Brom when he just a snot-nosed 18-year-old goalie. His mum didn't watch him watching Game of Thrones. Yeah, the goalie sitting on Arsenal's bench that day has gone on to represent Roma, Juventus, and Barcelona. So I'm getting Hammer, he called short change. He didn't actually get to make his baggy debut for another 7 years. Well, now, I think he's in for a realistic shout at scraping Aaron Ramsdale's England spot. Honestly, competition, look at this keeper, it's fantastic. And this summer, Chelsea could do worse. Wolves 4, Tottenham 2. Well, Tottenham are absolutely atrocious. I knew Wolves would win this match, but I didn't think they'd top 4. Guillermo Vicario was initially a fantastic signing as Tottenham's goalie, but after coming back from injury, he's got the decision-making. I felt sorry for Denton. Batted off it for a hopeless old goal. And lads, it takes a lot for me to feel sorry for any bloke who does an interview wearing sunglasses indoors. There's no better way of trying to tell the audience you think you're too cool for school than literally hopping on chains in a kitchen. Imagine sitting next to a public legend like Rio Ferdinand. I'm not even showing him the respect of showing him your eyes. Even Edgar Davids pick up specs indoors, and he's got eyeballs made of chocolate or something. I don't know. I never read the reason. For all I know, he'd be like Cyclops of X-Men. Look, Paul Pacalda's job depends on winning the Europa League. Right now, his job depends on whether he's going to outsmart a Frankfurt boss who just a few years ago was managing Benfica. Oh, no, sorry. No, that's Ham Benfica. That's one of the players from a few hundred fans. In Luxembourg, Ham Benfica. That sounds like a sandwich your weird cousin orders a cup of coffee. Look, if he wins this, I would keep him. Come on, you can't just give your first company manager this 2008 job. If you do get sacked, don't worry, yeah. The last bloke wins for some silverware. Just a few months after he was pinned off, he was managing Real Madrid. I mean, Jose Mourinho took Spurs to a cup final. He was sacked, and a few months later, he was nearly managing Real Madrid. When Daniel Levy took for Harry Redknapp, he was then the favourite for the England job. When Mauricio Pochettino skipped away, his next job was PSG. Conte was in for the December pay and praised his way to Napoli. Even Tim Sherwood's next gig was being asked to manage a club champions of Europe. Same deal with Martin Jol. Nuno Santo instantly became one of the best paid managers in the world. If you get sacked at Tottenham, you're usually gonna be fine. So big ads, don't worry. You'll be okay, mate. Well, maybe it's no you are. Yeah, you probably take one look at me and assume I was some freak if you were thought of the pick up with them too. And to be fair, you'd be back on the money. Southampton nil after Villa 3. That's annoying. I really thought Southampton might be able to make a point, but no. They fumble at the end. And Ramsdale, he saves 2 penalties from the former Galactico. Lads, Mark Ramsdale is a truly luxury footballer. He was playing in the Champions League final the same season Ramsdale was warming the Sheffield United bench of the Championship, unable to dislodge the great George Long. Someone about as famous as the pancakes thing behind your fridge. Ramsdale, it must feel really annoying to make those superb penalty saves and still lose 3-0. Lads, this is grim. Can you imagine how embarrassing it would be if on the final day of the season, Ramsdale's old Arsenal teammates spanked 5 past him to confirm him as being part of the worst team in Premier League history? Don't forget, last summer, this bloke had options. He was heavily linked to the move to a European giant like Ajax. He could have won the Eredivisie title, playing Europa League football, and got bullied with Jordan Henderson. Instead, he's losing every week. Honestly, I'd imagine this bloke is so annoyed with his career choices, like joining Southampton and letting his dad do the podcast, that he probably now kicks over children's sandcastles at the beach. I said at the start of the season that he will have a public meltdown and snap at some point, so just you wait inside the next few weeks. I can really see him doing something out of character and biting off Jack Stevens' ear and spitting it out to the corner flag. Arsenal won Brentford 1-. The most predictable match of the weekend. I knew this would be a 1-1 draw. Football Iconic knew that it would be a 1-1 draw. I knew it would be a 1-1 draw. And then, I've got 47 points this weekend so far. Football Iconic, he has 44. And he told me his prediction for tonight, it's that Fulham will lead home with 3 goals from Ruby Sessegnon, Ferreira versus 1 from Semenyo. Okay. 44 points it is. And City 5 to spot us 2. That's play the clip.
I'm sorry, but I know Carl and Beat City both keep the pass, but I really don't seem to be getting anything here. And if they win in Indiana this weekend, then I will go shopping in Aldi dressed in a Winnie the Pooh onesie.
I am lucky, so lucky that Manchester City were able to stage a miracle comeback.
Milk $6 meal. Hot coffee, sausage, egg, and cheese, and 6 goji hash browns. It's the biggest deal on breakfast. Dunkin' $6 meal deal.
Honestly, there's a lot of rocked into a 2-0 lead. Oh dear, I was sweating like a pig at a barbecue, but after that, it was a Kevin De Bruyne masterclass. For all the other Glasgow, he still feels confused. His team were 2-0 up, being set to get another win in Manchester City. I know, City scored 5 without reply. Honestly, Bombers, are you scared? You're now on Man City by 2 points. Honestly, you must be absolutely terrified. Liverpool 2, West Ham 1. Liverpool are champions. And that's all there is to say. Play the clip.
I'm going 2-0. I think it'll be sad on that line. The two boys celebrating there.
I knew Burns would like to score, which is mad because he hasn't actually scored a free goal since before Halloween. He hasn't actually scored a free goal at Anfield since February of last year, and even that was against Luton. I mean, does that really count? Not really. It's like bragging because you won an arm wrestle against a mouse. So if you just qualify that goal against Luton, because honestly, for someone who came within just a handful of votes away from stealing a Ballon d'Or off Messi, then no, so you can take pride in scoring against that utterly teapot defence. No, it's ridiculous. It's like me storming on the pitch to score a hat-trick in my cousin's under-12s match, and then bragging about it on Snapchat. Sorry, what? So really, Van Dijk's last public goal at Anfield, aside from Luton, was in March 2023 against Wolves, and the one before that was in a 9-0 win over Bournemouth, which feels so long ago, I wouldn't at all be surprised if you told me I'd just been weaned off my granny's breast milk the day before. So honestly, I know Van Dijk messed up for Robertson goal, but honestly, for him to
I remember the first time I ever saw